Steve Malice here. Going to work with the guitar a little bit today, right now, and we are going to, I don't even know what we're going to do. Let's see, what are we going to do? We're going to do an interval. We're going to do a half-step interval. The half-step is sort of like the atom of music because it's the smallest complete step that you can have. And I suppose a synthesizer can go in and do a smaller than a half step, or you could do a smaller than a half step on a fretless instrument as well. Just realize that. But anyway, we're going to do the half step on the guitar. And basically it's very convenient because the frets on the neck of the guitar are each separated by a half step. So each time you go from, maybe let's just say for example I'm on the bottom string here, it's called the bottom E, low E. On the third fret, that's a G, E, F sharp, G. If I go a half step up from G, half step higher, further up the neck, higher in sound, I've got a G sharp. If I go a half step lower down from G, I've got a G flat. So if you don't know the chromatic scale yet, that may sound confusing, but it's going to be true whether you know it or not. I mean, if you go up a half step, you're automatically going to get the sharp, and if you go down a half step, you're automatically going to get a flat. Now, one thing, every note doesn't correspond to a single half step. So for example, in between E and F, it is a half step. So if I go E, by the way, open, it's like I have my finger on the nut. So that's an E, putting my finger there on the nut. It doesn't really do anything, but it's just emphasizing that I'm fretting the 0th fret. So open is an E, one step up is an F, because there's only a half step between an E and an F. But rather than name the notes, I am actually trying to just get people to hum them, because we're trying to be able to distinguish a half step and a step. So for this particular lesson, we're trying to distinguish the half step. So from E to, but I am going to at least tell you what they are. So from E to F, from A on the 5th string to A sharp, D sharp, G sharp, B, and it's actually B sharp, but it's also a C. So E, F, and B, C, there's only a half step between E and F and B and C. For the rest of them, it's a whole step. E, F. So again, because there's a low E and a high E, the notes on the high E string are going to be analogous to the notes on the low. So once you know how to play these, you're going to want to learn to write them musically, to be able to read them musically, and to be able to hum them. So let's look at humming. Even if you are a singer or not, you still need to be able to hum the intervals. It's sort of like the Jaws theme. And there's a lot of tension between the E and the E sharp, between the root that you're playing and the note of half step above it. The reason there's so much tension is they're relatively close together, but they're different. So that creates a lot of tension. La la, la 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 la. So I'm just kind of humming that. then I just do that for a while, and I'm doing an up and down stroke on this big stroke on the string with my right hand. La 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 la. And then I'm going to slow it down. La 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 la. Now that might be a little low for a lot of people, or it's definitely a little low for me. So let's go up to an A. So you can do that on all the strings and just practice that, and when you're, the next thing is going to be to move up the neck. So just to move chromatically. We could do it all at once, but if we just want to do a half step at a time, you can move it up like that, and we'll talk about that in another lesson. But you definitely should start doing that now. We'll talk about the names of the notes in another lesson. So you can go all the way up through an octave using the half steps, and you want to be able to recognize and reproduce that half step interval. So to really do it, if you're a singer, you are probably going to want to eventually at some point get a chromatic tuner and verify that you're actually doing a half step. Which reminds me, I think in future lessons I'm probably going to have a chromatic tuner handy too, because the simple fact is I may not actually be completely in tune here, so that could really throw you off if you're following along. So I will try to account for that in future lessons. So for right now, thumbs up. Practice on those half steps, and see you next time. Thank you. Thank you for watching.